What makes this the world's best robotic hand? And how does GPT 5.6 compare to Fable 5? Today on AI News, 1X Technologies just unveiled a new hand for its neo-humanoid, claiming it's the most advanced robotic hand in history. That's because the system packs 25 degrees of freedom, with 22 across the fingers and palm, plus 3 at the wrist, into a tendon-driven design that 1X says now meets or exceeds human-level dexterity. But the bigger claim isn't the joint count, it's what those joints can actually sense. This is because most robotic hands are right only, meaning a command goes out and the hand moves, but it can't tell you how hard it gripped or what it touched. That's largely a byproduct of gearing, because typical robot hands use gear ratios of 100:1 or higher, high enough that friction absorbs contact forces before they reach the motor. But 1X's hands run gear ratios of roughly 5:1 to 15:1, which is low enough that every joint is back drivable, meaning if you push on a finger, it actually yields to your push instead of resisting it. And as it yields, it reports exactly how hard you pushed it. 1X calls this force transparency, and alongside that force sensing, every joint also tracks its own position continuously. This is called proprioception, so that the hand also knows its pose without needing a camera. And here's the first breakthrough. Robots trained via imitation or reinforcement learning need labeled data, and a hand reporting force and position at every joint will self-label each grasp it performs, shrinking one of embodied AI's biggest costs, collecting physical interaction data. And on top of the joints, tactile skin on the hands adds another layer of sensing. The fingertip sensors can now measure force, contact location, and shear, which 1X claims is enough to detect an object that's beginning to slip and react before it falls. This matters because vision alone struggles with small, transparent, or deformable objects, and touch fills the gaps that cameras can't. But the hands are more than just sensitive. In fact, 1X cites peak torque of 3.5 Newton meters at the thumb's base joint and 2.6 Newton meters at the finger knuckles, which is comparable to the force of a strong human hand. Then, the wrist's 17.75 Newton meters of peak torque puts it near the strong end of human wrist torque. And according to 1X, all of this combined with fingertip forces up to 45 newtons makes this enough to open doors or push loaded carts, all while holding position accuracy of near give or take 0.2 millimeters for smaller objects. And some of the tasks that have been demonstrated include assembling Lego bricks, using a screwdriver, installing light bulbs, sorting grapes by color, and doing sign language. But there's another hidden benefit. Because the joints are back drivable at low gear ratios, the hands can absorb impacts safely, with 1X showing hands yielding when being struck with a hammer. Plus, they're rated IP68 waterproof with food-safe materials, which means that Neo can now wash its own hands. And when it comes to scaling, 1X says the hands are already rolling off their dedicated production line, with capacity for 10,000 units this year, built end-to-end in-house, with tendons, motors, skin, and sensing electronics all included. But whether this approach delivers depends on real-world deployment. So would you buy it? And does this really solve the last bottleneck for ultra-dexterous humanoids? Or is this just more marketing hype? Tell us down below in the comments if this justifies Neo's $20,000 price tag to buy, or its $499 cost per month to rent. And while 1X is giving AI better hands, its backer OpenAI just released a new brain to match, rolling out the GPT 5.6 family after a limited preview. But instead of just a single flagship model, OpenAI shipped a tiered lineup of 3 models. Soul is the flagship, the highest capability model in the family, built for the hardest reasoning, coding, and agentic work. Then, Terra sits below it as the everyday balanced option, and finally, Luna is the cheapest and fastest of the 3. And GPT 5.6 isn't just about raw intelligence, it's intelligence per dollar. So here's how it compares to Anthropic's Fable 5. On Agent's last exam, a test of long-running professional workflows across 55 fields, Soul posted a score of 53.6, which is 13.1 points ahead of Claude's Fable 5, according to OpenAI. Even at a medium reasoning level, Soul reportedly beat Fable 5 by 11.4 points at about a quarter of the estimated cost, with Terra and Luna matching Fable 5 at roughly 1/16 of the cost. But these are all OpenAI's own benchmark comparisons, whereas independent measurements from artificial analysis show a closer race. placing Fable 5 slightly ahead of Sol on general intelligence, even as Sol leads on coding-specific tests. Then there's safety, as GPT 5.6 launches with what OpenAI calls its most robust safeguards yet, aimed at resisting misuse without blocking legitimate work. In fact, GPT 5.6's release followed an extended evaluation combining human red teaming with large-scale automated testing, as well as coordination with outside experts during the preview period. And as for coding skills, on the Artificial Analysis Coding Agent Index, Sol scored 80, a new state-of-the-art, 2.8 points above Fable 5, while using under half the output tokens and roughly a third less cost. Terra edged past Fable 5 too, and Luna outperformed Claude Opus 4.8, each doing so faster and cheaper than their predecessors. And for heavier jobs, a new Ultra mode runs 4 separate agents in parallel, creating extra tokens for speed on demanding tasks. Furthermore, GPT 5.6 also leans into design. OpenAI says its stronger computer use skills let it inspect and refine what it builds. Instead of just generating code, it visually reviews the results and fixes issues before handing it back to produce more polished interfaces and visuals. OpenAI also says GPT 5.6 strengthens everyday knowledge work, pulling context from documents, Slack, Notion, and Google Drive into more accurate presentations, spreadsheets, and financial models with better formatting and layout. And as for pricing, Sol costs $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output tokens. Terra is $2.50 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens, and Luna undercuts both at just $1 per million input tokens and $6 per million output tokens. And all three are accessible right now across ChatGPT, Codex, and the API. In ChatGPT Work and Codex specifically, free and Go users get to use Terra, while paid tiers unlock all three models, including a higher effort Sol Pro option for Pro and Enterprise users. But developers can call all three tiers directly through the API. Finally, check out this video here of Foundation's Phantom MK1 humanoid demoing what could be the future of war, and share in the comments down below what weapons it should demo next. Anyways, like and subscribe, and check out this video here for more of the latest in AI and robotics news, and thanks for watching.